I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
And this is...
Sear, Bliss.
Sear, Bliss.
The worlds collide.
No, two worlds collide.
Oh, wow.
Not the
I kind of feel like I might end up needing glasses at some point here because... Or maybe there's just a lot of assumptions coming from my own mind. This is for the Epic Underground.
Epic Underground! Throw the gang signs up!
What? Are the Epic Underground?
Who are the Epic
Alliance.
Underground? They're in the new alliance there, listener.
Want to be part of an alliance? Basically what the alliances do is they influence our song selection. So if you want to be part of an alliance, it's simple. You jump on Patreon for $1 a month, gets you straight in there, and then you can get the link to Discord. If you don't have a Discord, it's very simple to set one up. I'll give you the link to do that if you're interested in that. Just send me a little message in there. And you can join in one of these groups, and they're split up by genres, basically. So if you like death metal or whatever, like, there's a little spot for everybody.
Facts.
Mostly. Anyway, if you're like, I don't want to work with a crew, I don't want to talk to people on Discord, I don't want to make friends, then you can still get a song reaction. This would be my option if I was going to pick one.
The filthy capitalist option.
It's the filthy capitalist, the Sori filthy capitalist option. And that is where it's $125. And you can pick whatever song you want.
Straight to the head of the line.
It gets you straight onto our short list, and you can have whatever song you want reacted to. Doesn't matter, it's your choice. You're the one picking it. One person was like, I'm sorry, I'm picking another Kill Switch Engage. I won't do that the next time. I'm like, it's your song! Imagine going to the store and being like, I apologize for buying another strawberry lollipop.
Yeah, you're forgiven.
I'm like, you can pick whatever you want. It's your reaction.
Song. If you do that 3 times, you get knocked down to the $75 rate. That's really important.
Listen, at the end of this review, there's going to be a whole little commercial, I guess you could say, on this whole ESPN. I'm not really familiar with all this
March Madness, it's for a good cause.
Yeah.
You guys
it's for
know,
our villagers.
You guys know, in our one of the values of the village is that we're literally a village. We help each other out, and so we've got a little thing where
one of our buddies is going to explain the whole thing to you. So after this video, just hang on tight, and you'll see.
Yeah, or fast forward this video. You don't need to see us. I mean, who cares, right? Who cares about us? Just another run of the mill reaction.
Interracial couple reacting to music. Wait, we are not the only ones. There's another one, but it's actually flipped. It's a black girl, white guy.
Yeah. Shout out to Half-Life Sister.
Yeah, I was like, it's something about a sister.
Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Those people.
Sure.
They're still going strong, but seriously, check out that thing. I don't like using the word charity because it's a stupid...
I didn't use charity.
No, I know. It's something where
It's basically we're all working together to, like, help out each other. So...
Correct.
You know, everybody lands in places. Like last year, we had some vehicle issue, and everybody like helped us out, and
we had
other people because of COVID and everything. There's like lots of different things. So if you're in need of help,
everybody's just helping everybody,
or you can help. It's like the leave a penny, take a penny thing.
Yeah, and
only it's $1.
Nobody's a hero for it. You know, let's just. Anyway,
nobody thought they were a hero for it.
Let's go. Sear, Bliss, the worlds collide. But I'm really happy that he came up with that idea himself. That's the thing that I love. Is like,
and he's shooting the videos for me because he could see I was so confused.
Yeah,
he's like,
so he's great. All right, let's go. Two worlds collide. Let's go. Okay.
I'm with it. Build up.
Shit is heavy as hell, boy. Yes, Pinky. Feel the metal.
I need it. It's a need. Not a want, a need.
The cold embrace of despair. In the land of the panthers, be prepared and you will taste cold sweat of fear.
Oh, this is the black metal.
Look out.
Sweat of fear.
Hold on, I gotta check out this black metal.
Oh, that's new.
What the hell?
Wow.
This is black metal, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
My fears eternity ends. For I've seen the future, and I've seen the past.
Whoa. I like it.
I bless the hours of tomorrow. Time will lost its meaning. My fears mixed with rain. My blood becomes cold. My soul in sulfur lake.
Cool.
Glory and Perdition is the name of that song.
Look, babe. If everybody's got like guitars.
Yeah,
and
he's got the horn.
He's,
and
isn't that a trumpet or trombone?
Trumpet,
or
yeah.
something? Look at us.
Trombone,
We're
trumpet,
just reactors.
something. And yeah, he's rocking out with that shit, bro. He's doing his thing.
Do you think? Okay, no, it's not a question. I have a statement. I think that music like this, like I feel the cold embrace of despair in the land of the phantoms. Be prepared, for you will taste the cold sweat of fear. This is what you will feel. My tears mixed with rain. My blood became cold. My soul in sulfur lake. Like this sort of desperation where nothing is getting better and you're like in this hell of sorts. And I think that there are some times that in your life you hit that phase, and it's very, very important to have music that kind of communicates what you feel. So maybe it helps with not feeling so alone, because there's some sort of understanding or comorbidity that happens when you listen to the music like that. And so I think that it's like, I think it's really, really, really important. And then I think that there's sometimes, like when you're climbing up a mountain, you have to hear somebody else saying, wow, this foothill really sucks, or like this incline really sucks. But then there are times where you have to say, like, talk more about the peak that you're going to than the slopes that you're on. Mm-hmm. You know, sometimes, like, it depends. Like, I think you got to look at your own life and you got to look backwards and forwards. And he said, like, I see the past, and he saw the future and stuff like that. Like, and obviously that's what was kind of like making him be in the spot that he was in. But I think that sometimes you have to look at that and say, you know what, I got to go somewhere. I can't stay in this spot. But that is, this guy's not climbing a mountain. This guy's been to hell, it sounds like.
Yeah, we were in the, it's really interesting because I was in a fireside last two days or so, and you know, I just left the topic open, and a lot of people started asking me, you know, theological questions, heaven, hell, and it was, you know, I quote that Lewis quote. I don't know I think it was Lewis quoting George MacDonald though. Basically, he said, "People in hell have always been there, and people in heaven have always been there." And that was such a fascinating. That's a really fascinating. That was in the whole Great Divorce thing, where you're meeting all these ghosts or whatever, and one of them was George MacDonald, who was obviously, you know, in Lewis's mind, you know. But
that's so weird, because in my mind I'm like, Tom MacDonald, what? George
MacDonald. Not Tom MacDonald, George MacDonald.
Shout out to the homie.
Shout out to the homie and all of his friends. But so that line just really, really resonated. I've been thinking. I read that book last summer or whatever, or listened to it last summer. But that line has always stuck with me, and I think it's right. I think he's true, because, you know, like right now, what he's describing is his own quote personal hell. You know, and that's a. You know, at the same time, it's like a lot of times I listen to this stuff, and as a Christian, you know, it's like, yeah, you kind of empathize a lot with people who've been through their own personal hell, and I've, you know, we've experienced it and been pretty, you know, explicit about it in the channel. But like, even in the deepest, worst parts of hell in my life, I've always had God like underneath that.
Yeah.
Like no matter how far in the pit you are, like God has always been like
deeper still.
I think it was a Corrie ten Boom quote.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that was Corrie. I think that was her sister that said that. I'm not sure.
And these were Jewish. Were they Jewish or were they Christians who were hiding Jews?
They were Christians that were hiding Jews.
Yeah, so this family, this German family.
From what I remember.
I'm pretty sure they were Christians hiding Jews and they got caught, so they all got sent to was it Auschwitz?
I can't remember.
They got sent to some horrible concentration camp, and obviously, the horrors of what happens there and the things that you see. But Corrie came out, and this is a woman.
See, like Corrie was not with it. Like she was angry, she was hurt, and it was worse for her than it was for her sister. Her sister kind of kept this positivity about her with it.
Yeah.
And really trusting in like God's goodness and stuff like that. Of course, this is from Corrie's point of view. So who knows? You know what I mean? Like, because her sister ends up dying in the camp, and it was like really terrible because when the people would die, they would just throw them onto the pile. And like, when you're used to seeing just like piles of bodies, like at first it was like horrific and they were like it was like traumatizing, but then you get traumatized to the point where it's just a pile and it becomes like just something else that you see. I think that it's similar to when people are not similar. There's no correlation here, but there is a little tiny bit. When you're in New York and you go by all the homeless people, I had never seen that before. In fact, at that time, I never even saw it from my state was Maine. That's where I lived. That's where I live now. And I never saw homeless people. There probably was homeless people, but I never saw them. And New York, they're all over the place. They're in boxes. They're covered up in bags. It's like the most horrible thing you've ever seen when you've never seen it before. I had only seen that in like movies or advertisements or something. Like I've never seen a really homeless person. But I'm sure you saw so many homeless people, you didn't even see them anymore.
Well,
or no.
It was different for me because we were homeless.
Right.
And that... as a matter of fact, the stop right before New York was in New Jersey, and we were homeless for pretty much. But
never living on the street.
Well, we were in homeless shelters. My point is, like, they were never like, oh, I was never desensitized.
So okay.
But I'm sure.
Been there.
But I was desensitized to other shit. I mean, the first time I saw somebody get shot.
My friend said they didn't see the homeless.
The first time I saw somebody got shot, I was like, oh my, it was whatever.
Yeah.
And then you hear gunshots and you're like, that is where But yeah, it's a similar idea. But yeah, she was in a concentration camp, and that's where. That line "deeper still" is a pretty famous.
There is no
quote.
pit so deep that God is not deeper still.
Yeah, and so it's like her sister was able to find some sort of balance in whatever.
I'm pretty sure her sister was it's interesting
in a concentration camp
because her sister was like more like the honest one than Corrie. Corrie was like, they didn't say it like this, but Corrie was basically like, fuck them, you know what I mean? But her sister wasn't like that, and they had like a group of Jews. This story really impacted me. So they had a group of Jews that were in their home. Some of them were hidden behind the wall because they were very Jewish. There was a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Jew in there. So she didn't look at all like a Jew. Like, she walked around like she wasn't a Jew. Well, the cops or whatever you called them, Gestapo, I don't really know. They came in and they said, are there any Jews here? And they looked at the sister, and the sister said, yeah, she's a Jew, and pointed to the blonde-haired, blue-eyed one. And Corrie was like, the fuck? She didn't say that. That's me, paraphrasing. She was so angry with her sister for doing that. So they took that blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl, threw her in the back of that van, and took off with her. And, like, Corrie was so angry, like, how could this happen? Like, why did you have... And her sister was like... Her sister felt like this deep conviction to always tell the truth. Even though she really wanted to protect the Jews, she felt like she should be honest, and she was. Well, that bus that was on its way to the concentration camp got, like... There was, like, other groups of, like, Christian people or whatever that had, like, stopped it, took off all the Jews, held those other people, took off all the Jews, and got them over the border. So that girl got out because of her sister's honesty. She didn't end up in the concentration camp. But who would have known? Corrie wouldn't have said anything, and the girl would have been there struggling with everybody else instead of making it over to the border where it was safety. She would have died.
She would have died.
Yeah, so it was just crazy, like... I'm with Corrie. I wouldn't have said I wouldn't have done that.
Johan would have.
It depends. Johan's the same way. It depends. It depends on where he's at. He might say it, and I would be mad, and then it would work out like that. Or
Johan's got the most faith of anybody in the house, I think. And he's like, Johan's really the last child in the house.
Yeah.
Like, Orion's not even a child. He, like, you know that whole boss baby thing?
Okay,
Like,
so Orion is like almost 2, and Johan is 12. Just so we're having an understanding. Yeah, oh yeah, Orion is like...
But Orion doesn't function like a child. He functions like a little prince. Like one of those little, like, tyrannical...
Yeah.
But, yeah, like... You know, and she would talk about the fleas and all this shit. They were covered head to toe in fleas and all this.
Well, it was lice, actually.
Lice, yeah.
And it ended up they were in a room, they were covered in lice, and Corrie was like, how could it be worse? Like, as if God put us here, and now he put us in this place where, on top of that, we also have lice. Well, it turned out that because they had lice, the soldiers didn't rape them.
Yeah, there was
but her sister was saying, look for the sunshine in the midst of the rain.
Yeah, and like, that's why I said, like, Johan is like that. So, you know, a lot of you guys know there was a horrible situation that happened in the middle of a live stream. Thank you guys that were there. Thank you guys for being there. That, you know, to this moment, I really probably haven't really recovered from.
Me neither. Me neither.
But there was an accident, something happened with, you know, my ex, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, everybody was safe.
The car is completely totaled,
but when
everybody is safe. It's crazy that they are.
Alhamdulillah. But like when I went to pick them up, you know, the kids they were asking where their mom was, and you know, we're gonna have to deal with the legal ramifications of that pretty soon. But it was so crazy listening to Johan because he just started listing all these things. Because his mom, the mom had bought Dorian a blanket for some reason. I don't know what happened. And then she also bought them some game or something. And so
Uno and some
Johan was like,
game.
Mom got us that blanket. So when we were outside in the cold, we were able to cover up with the blanket. He's like, and then he was talking about like being able to play the game when they were in the police station, and he was talking about that, and then he was like, you know, Dorian was it was kind of freaky, and if you're an OG villager, this is going to be kind of freaky. But Dorian was supposed to be in the front seat, and then he got in an argument with his mom, so she put him in the back seat, and they get in this horrible accident, which is. If you know, you've heard the story a few times, that's literally what happened with me and my older brother, which ended up saving our lives and all this. And he was just running down all the evidences of God's grace in the situation. And I'm just driving and I'm listening to him, and he was like, he named off like 9, 10 things that God was, and it was just like, it was a crazy moment as a parent where you're like,
he gets it.
You know, like this is, you know, because there's a lot of like, oh, you know, you follow your religion because your parents and da da da. It's like, you know, and there's things to answer that and blah blah blah. But as a parent, like you're always like, when is it real for your kid? You know, like when do they really own their faith and do they have a true relationship with God, or they just? But like, you could tell it. That's where his mind went. Like he was just. Finding every single little positive thing that happened. They had no idea where their mother was. They didn't know any of that. And I didn't know at the time where their mother was either.
I kept them on FaceTime. I'm like, don't hang up. It got disconnected. I'm like, call them back right now. They were like, I was like obsessed with keeping them on FaceTime.
Yeah, and it's just like.
I'll tell you what, I do not have the same response as Johan as far as his spirituality. Me and Dorian are on the same page. That situation made me say, that's right. I am not in control of their safety. Holy shit, I'm not in control of their safety. And I hate that. I'm like, you know, and then people want to give you some like happy clappy answer. Well, God's in control. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, God is the one that took my baby. So he could take them too. And I'm still like shook up from that whole situation. I'm not good with that at all. And it was like back to back because they had that accident that night, and the next morning, like literally hours later, Selah was in surgery, and I was like, okay, the kids made it out. She might not make it out. Like it was just there was too. Oh my word.
There's a lot. Well, the crazy thing about that was, I was in the fireside talking, and. The subject was God and suffering. So I'm talking about God and suffering, and that's when I get the phone call from Dorian. So it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable, you know. And people were like, you know, I'm not like
I
Johan.
was with my friends saying, I don't know what I'm supposed to do next because she's such a shitty driver. And I'm saying that, and that's what was happening when I'm saying it.
Right, you were with
BJ and K.
Press Start with BJ and K, which is the greatest name for a YouTube channel of all time for a group of people who haven't. You guys would be. Anyway, different story. But yeah, you were talking to them about it, and I was talking about suffering, and then boom, there's this phone call. And it's just like, you know, so like at the same time, like you're going through these personal hells, but like for me, you know, this guy in the song, like, sun broke the shatter since the coldest winter dwells in me, and things like that. It's like, at some point, man, like this is the world. We're in a world, and I don't care what people say, I don't care how you want to put it philosophically speaking, the language we use is we're in a fallen world where bad shit happens, and a lot of times initially there's no rhyme or reason, and you are going to have a personal winter inside of you. And you look, and you know, I hate talking about my faith in the context of utility, but you know, people are saying like, yo, you're very, very calm. And then, you know, there were some of that has to just do with things that I've been trained to do and things like that. Like, the worse the situation is, the more you dial back so that you can think more clearly. But a lot of it was just like, the minute I heard that, like, I did a little prayer thingamajiggy, and it was all happening in real time. People are watching in real time, but I like, you know, whatever, but... You know, and I started going through my, you know, whatever the things that I was trying to do, but at the same time, like, and the thing is like, I didn't have the vehicle with me because we had vehicle issues that you were trying to take care of. So it was like one of the craziest windows of time where it just so happened I didn't have the car, so I couldn't do anything.
And I legit came back as soon as I could. As soon as that battery was in, I was like, bye!
Yeah. It was just a terrible situation. But you know, you're gonna have those issues. And
see, I'm kind of like at this point where I'm like, I feel like I'm like kind of stuck in this medium spot where I'm like, okay, either I can freak out at the fact that I literally have no control over the safety of my kids, like within a certain, like obviously they're in my house, I can set certain rules and boundaries. Nobody's gonna play with knives, you know what I mean, like obvious stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then there's so much stuff that's outside of your control. Like, yeah, nobody's playing with knives. Okay, Selah opened a can and cut her thumb on it. Oh, now she has to go for surgery because it actually hit the tendon.
Yeah, she
it's like,
she's completely
who
lacerated.
could have predicted that?
And then it just folded in on itself
Oh,
into her palm.
It's like, who could have predicted that? She was opening up a freaking can.
I'll tell you what, the Selah thing really, I didn't talk about it, but it really bothered me so much because what happened was we're doing something for our other business. And we had gone to all these stores to get this thing, and it went, and then it was like, oh, we got to get to the store by 9 o'clock, and it was in that little gap of time. And Zoe's freaking out. She's like, she needs surgery. I'm like, Zoe, I look at her hand, and I immediately knew
too.
that it was going, because she couldn't move her thumb. And I was just like, so angry. And I hate, I say it all the time, like, I'd rather lose by 50 than lose by 2 in double overtime in a game-winning shot. And I'm like, that little window of time, and I'm like,
and honestly,
now
how often do we open cans around here?
Yeah, it's like, and it was. I looked at it and I just knew immediately. It was the same like feeling I had when Zoe, you know, Zoe got cut and she had to have surgery on her eye, and that wasn't cheap. I'll tell you what, Medicare for all. But I was just like, I was so angry. I was like, man, like, it'd be one thing if she was like playing football or something like that and she broke her arm or something like that, where it's like, but like opening a can and then this thing gets lacerated and she's got whatever, and then she's got to go under.
See, this is the thing. I've told them so many times, if the can doesn't fully open, use a knife. I say it every time. They get so sick of me repeating it. Didn't matter. I say use a knife to get it open. Nope. Everybody thinks when you do that, that it's not going to be that bad. I can just like peel up the It's so sharp. Those friggin' cans are so sharp. You can't do it. Use a knife. Even I, as an adult, use a knife, like a butter knife. I always tell them, use this butter knife, use this butter knife. But that's not what happened. And so it was just back to back. So I'm kind of like at this crossroads. I feel like I'm at a fork in the road where I can either say, okay, it's complete. You can say the same statement, but they can mean two different things. One is like, it's completely out of my hands. Like, this is all in the hands of God. Like, their safety is in the hands of God. But then there's another one that it's like, it's completely out of my hands. Like, it's all, their safety is in the hands of God.
Yeah.
It's literally one or the other. And so I'm kind of leaning toward like, well, why panic about that? It's true. They are in the hands of God. So all the fear and all the worry about what could possibly happen to your kids or your family members, like, it's not going to change anything. But at the same time, like, if something would have happened to any of them, I'm like, I didn't even let Johan want to go play with his friend. He wasn't even going that far. I was like, I can't. I actually, like, I think he could see the panic in my face when I started talking about it. I'm like, I can't. I almost lost you guys a couple nights ago. Like, I can't. Please just stay close to home.
It's too much stuff, man. There's too much stuff. Stuff is hard. But, you know, this is stuff that everybody's going through in varying degrees. And, I mean, it's
freaky.
You know, and there's so many things that you cannot control. And, you know, I was thinking about, the last couple of nights have just been like really, really, really difficult. Just because I don't think I've had a particularly hard life. I've just had episodes in my life where you have so much loss. And I was in the room, you know, we're watching our show together as a family. Everybody's on the bed, everybody's just hanging out, and Dorian's there, and you know, I swear to God, he got bigger from when he came back from his mom's house. He had a growth spurt 2 days. I don't know what happened, but he did. He's bigger, and we're at the business meeting, and he's like typing out the minutes for the family business meeting.
I forgot something in the business meeting. I said, Dorian, what was that thing I'm supposed to do? I don't remember. I should have written it down, but I was holding the baby and I didn't want to put the baby down. And he was like, well, did you check the notes? I said, oh yeah, you took notes. He pulls it up on his thing. He's telling me all the stuff. We figured it out.
Did you read the part where he's like, the stars have aligned?
No, I didn't.
I gotta show you that part. It's amazing. But I'm sitting there like, and I'm watching, you know, like this stuff, and I'm watching Dorian. I'm watching him, you know, do his thing or whatever. So here it is right here. It's like the stars have aligned for
our success.
As the market moves towards online.
I didn't know he was writing them like that. That's hilarious.
And these are the minutes for our little family business meeting or whatever, and it's unbelievable to me. You know, it's and I'm sitting there like, I got Dorian there. I got you know, Zoe, who's like scratching Sayla's arm because they do.
Side note, I'm a little OCD, so all those butts on my bed, I'm not a fan of. It didn't matter. I didn't even think of like all of that at all. It was like just everybody get on the bed, like all of my babies are here. Oh my word, I felt like there's this little episode, I know I cut you off. There's this little episode of Peter Rabbit and all the bunnies, they leave and then they run into the farmer, and the farmer almost like gets them and makes pie out of them, and she already lost her husband to be made into a pie, and all her little bunnies come home, and that's how I felt when they all showed up, like, little bunnies, bring them home. It was like, my word.
Yeah, so like that whole, you know, so I'm on the, you know, and you know, Reza's there, and he's starting to get his hair in, and so he doesn't look like an 85-year-old man anymore. He's starting to gain some weight. It's coming out of your balls.
I tell him that almost every day.
And you know, everybody's there, and it's just like, yeah, man, like boom, and I'm like, damn, like, you know, we put Prince Orion to bed, and I was just thinking about Johan and just how sweet of a kid he is. Like last night was really big for me with Johan, just because he's so sweet, and he's so childlike, and I'm like, yo, man, like a lot of times when I'm in those moments, I always get nervous because like I've had so much loss of very important people in my life. I'm like, yo, like this is so good right now. Like, and I just thought to myself, like, if I had $500 million I could not be happier or more content than right now with all these kids and you there.
Oh my word.
And it's like the idea, man, that could be snatched from you in a moment. And
I keep thinking about Job.
And the other, and the other thing is that really that entire situation was completely my fault, because the night before, not even 24 hours before, it was like, I don't know, 3 in the morning or something. You were like, yo, you were really forcing the issue. And you're like, you got to talk to this woman about her driving, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I know exactly what's going to happen. She was in the car. She was like, oh, I wouldn't have fought you on that bullshit because you said that one thing and she started fighting you about it. There's no way. But whatever. I wasn't going to argue with her. But, like, we had the conversation. You're like, yo, her driving is because she was driving you and Sayla back from the hospital, right? Or for the
I thought that she
the
was
specialist or whatever.
See, my meme used to be a cautious driver that kind of endangered everybody. You know what I mean? Because she was overly cautious.
Too slow,
so she was kind of too slow when she moves over here.
Yeah.
This is the opposite. It was way too fast. Way too friggin' fast. It was too fast.
Yeah. And
out of control, Tyler. It's too much. Too much.
Yeah.
Too much.
So, like, I didn't have that conversation because it was the kid's time to be with her. I didn't have the conversation with her, and that whole situation happened. And like the minute I got the call from Dorian, I was like, okay.
When they left, I just felt like.
Yeah. So, and of course, people in the chat are like, no, Vin, it's not your fault. No, like that was completely the whole situation was completely my fault. Like I should have had the fight. I should have had the argument. You know what I mean? And I should have said, well, like there's a reason we have.
I told her, I said, I hate sharing kids. Actually, I said, I fucking hate sharing kids.
Yeah.
And she knows I don't curse that often. Well, she doesn't know this.
That was when we picked.
You were inside there, and I'm like.
I was talking to the cop. Yeah, I guess you let her have it. She told me about it later.
I did.
I was like.
I'm like. Because if they were just mine and yours, they would never have been in that car. Never.
Yeah.
But that's their mom.
She
it's
called
their
me.
mom.
She called me to complain about it. I was like, well, what do you want her to say? I'm like, she almost lost. Like, she's been taking care of these kids for the past, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. Like, what do you want her to say? Like,
and I was not being as.
I was like, you put him in a really crazy situation. She's like, well, you were all calm, blah blah blah. I was like, yeah, that's because she was giving it to you.
You didn't even hear me.
Well, when we were driving, you were like, yeah, because I was like, well, blah blah, and you were like, ah, because I knew it was going to be a good thing with the two of you guys in the car. I was driving her back from the police station. Just a horrible situation. It could have went a lot worse.
I held it.
No, yeah,
a bunch.
Yeah,
but I needed her to know how I felt about that.
It was just like part of it was hilarious because the cops like could not believe that she was not like. Because she's just so, you know what I mean? Like, so they couldn't believe that she wasn't drunk or high. So, like, they threw, like, everything possible because they were trying to find some chemical...
I can't really talk about this too much more.
...chemical reason for it. But the whole thing was a disaster and it was completely my fault.
It was so scary.
You live and you learn, so, I'm like, But anyway, the song is a really good... sort of like explanation of what that type of hopelessness and depression means. I just think for me, like, there's a big part of me that like loves to like, yeah, man, I completely understand how you feel, but like where we are right now in our country and just the time period that we're in, like, I get it, man. You're in a bad situation. You got to find something, or I'm worried about people is the issue. Like, this is not like. We're in a situation now, suicides, everything is doubled. Ian just sent me a thing of this autistic girl that took her own life recently. And, like, people gotta find, I think community is important. And obviously as Christians, I think God is important. I just do. I think being able to have that presence in you that has never, ever, ever, ever failed me, ever. Mm-hmm. Like, that presence of God, that stabilizing... And it wasn't, he didn't say like everything's gonna be okay. It's not what he said to me. He just said, I'm here. And that.
So you're looking for that surgery. I was just praying, man. I'm like.
So shout out to Jesus in Nazareth, man. Holy moly. So, like...
It's crazy because a lot of times people misunderstand what prayer is, and they think that prayer is the solution to a problem, as in when you pray, it's going to make the thing that you want happen. But it's not. It's kind of like one of those things where they say it's not the destination, it's the journey.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's when you're praying, what happens within that prayer is kind of like the answer to the prayer. So when I was praying, it was kind of like I felt like this kind of like leveling within myself because because of COVID, they don't let anyone in with you. So it was a really bizarre situation because I was going in, her dad was there waiting outside, and I really wanted Vin there. And of course he can't go inside with me. So there was all that thing with the kid. There was just a lot, just so many different things. It was just a very, very, very difficult time. And it was very like alone feeling because you're just in there. And the doctors and nurses, like, I clearly looked like I was not doing okay. They kept coming in, they were like, "Are you okay?" Like, I said, "Yeah, my daughter's been in there for surgery longer than she should have been, so I'm a little bit worried. I'd like it if she'd get back in this room quickly." You know, like, because of COVID, when they come out, they don't let you sit by them while they're waking up. They wake them up, and when they're awake, then they bring them back to you. Well, that adds more time on. There's so much added time because of the COVID thing. It was just a horrible situation, and you can't leave that room. And I was like trying to be patient and stuff, but I was like I closed the curtain at one point because I'm like, this is crazy. Like, people probably think but it's like, and I'm like looking out the window just to try to keep myself occupied by different things. My phone battery was dying. I'm like, just a weird, bizarre situation. I can't even describe to you that you probably wouldn't understand unless you were almost in the same situation. You know. Anyway. So, shout out to the Epic Underground that brought this tragic yet wonderful song to us.
It's a good song, man. It's
Yeah.
a good song. I just want to challenge the audience. Like, yeah, I get it, bro. You're in depression, but like, what do you have to hope for? What are the positive things, or what are the evidences of God's grace? You don't have to be a Christian to know that, and try to find those things and focus on those things and find a tribe, because all of our lives depend on it, and the world's not going to be the same without you, brother, sister. So,
and don't forget, like, we have Discord. Bunches of people hang out on Discord, and if $1 a month is something that you can't do, just reach out to us, vinandsori@gmail.com, and we'll get you in there. You know,
Facebook.com,
so you can just meet up with other people.
Facebook.com/Vin and Sori. I think human physical contact is paramount.
Yeah.
But if you can't get that, we can definitely get you linked up with a really cool group of people who will not treat you like a charity case. They'll just, hang out with you, and I'm sure you'll have something to contribute, that type of thing. So anyway, 9.5 for me. Heavy song.
Yeah, 9.6.
Like the
me too.
The horn section.
I was like, that's different. That's
in
cool.
a black metal.
I'm with it.
In a black metal song. Holy moly. Once again, proving that black metal is the most evolved genre in all of metal.
Right.
And thank you guys. Shout out to the Village for, holy moly, they knew about the accident before you did. Because I was on the phone, and so, like, it's just crazy. It's just crazy.
When you said hurry, you already knew about it?
No. I don't think I did.
Why were you telling me to hurry?
I wanted you to come back.
Oh, well, he was saying hurry, and so I'm like teasing him. I'm like, that's true, I'll go 45 and a 25, blow a red light.
Actually, I did see blow a red light.
I was actually doing all those things.
Yeah,
but I was,
while I was going through the whole situation. It was kind of weird.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, everything is strange. But anyway, there you go. Nobody cares about our dramatic life anymore. Vin, ow!
What do they say? It's a hologram! Sorry,
No, it's a simulation.
Gone. Whatever.
Villagers, the NCAA college basketball tournament is right around the corner. We're doing a March Madness contest for our village to raise funds for other villagers in need. It only costs $1 to participate, and you'll have the option, if you want to donate a little extra. The way it works is you go to ESPN.com and fill out a bracket with the teams that you think are likely to win each game. Whoever wins our contest will get to pick a song for Vin and Sori to react to. So that song you've always wanted them to do, you can now get it done for as little as $1 if you win the contest. There will be a link in the description to this website website that will take you to a PayPal site. From there, you make your donation and you'll get an email back with instructions on where to join the group and the password so that you can join. Now, if you're asking, I'm not a big college basketball junkie, I don't know what's going to happen, that's okay. There's all kinds of information on the website that will show you what the experts are predicting, statistics on each team, and even trends as far as what everybody else is voting on. So you'll fill out your bracket. You can start doing that on March 14th, and you'll have until the games begin on the 19th to complete your bracket. You can join the group at any time, but those are the days that you can actually fill your bracket out. If you have any questions, send those to Vin and Sori March Madness at gmail.com, and I look forward to seeing you guys there.